Hello, 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 and welcome back to Pop Culture Therapy. I'm Cruellica Kain.
And it's Advent Nebula. How you been?
Oh, it's been a while. Not for lack of trying, just a lack of time. You'd think being home all the time, you'd have more time.
You don't work in the essential industry like I do.
Yes, I do.
Eh.
I work for a company that makes defense stuff.
Yeah, but you're at home, unlike me, who actually has to physically go on the front lines.
I'm at home and I'm on the computer all the time. But I digress because I could whine about work all the time. But I could whine about work, I could whine about the lack of work. I think everyone admittedly could whine about something that's going on with their life. I think right now with this pandemic, just from a lot of people I've talked to, a lot of articles I've read, I think people are starting to go stir crazy.
Yeah.
And it's starting to affect our health.
And those of us that don't know how to cope or handle it are struggling. People like us that have some mental issues to go with it, it can be a little taxing.
Well, so on my Facebook, I know Facebook is really for old people. I tried to post it on Twitter, but it was too long. One of the things I post is because I've seen a lot of controversy, and the reason why this is related to pop culture is because not only are we going to talk about health, but we're going to talk about things to do to help cope.
Yeah.
Because that's the hard part when you're getting into health is, okay, we could talk about everything that's wrong with us, but if you don't have solutions, it means nothing.
Yeah, so we're going to kind of use our own personal examples on what's coping with our health right now with this, because for us, it's mainly our mental health.
Mental health and then some physical attributes, but I think that's for everyone.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to start with, I think is so very vital, is pop culture includes social media. The reason for that now is because YouTube and Twitter and Facebook have become outlets, or they have been outlets for a number of years, same thing with Instagram. And Twitch, for individuals to become influencers, so to speak. So, whereas social media within the realm of MySpace, and yes, that's old, I know.
Reddit, which is still popular, but you gotta keep in mind that came around the exact same time with Pinterest and
Absolutely.
MySpace.
But with those, they weren't an influence tactic. They were more of a communication or a look at me, notice me senpai type thing. Whereas,
LiveJournal was the big one of that, which is now defunct. Rest in peace, LiveJournal.
I know, I loved it. But so social media has become part of the pop culture zeitgeist because that's how we connect with everyone, be it fellow fans of different fandoms, actors or actresses, or just even movies or comics or anything anymore.
And hell, influencers, you have the trifecta with them with their YouTube or Twitch, then their Twitter, and then their Instagram.
Exactly. Instagram/Facebook, because both are technically the same company. So, on social media now, the hard part with that is everybody's online. Because everyone is home, so the only way they can connect with the outside world is social media, really. Or unless you use Zoom, but we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. So with that said, that's not helping mental health either. Because
no, you got toxic minefields on social media.
And some of them are so incredibly unintentional.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to point out is you cannot get emotions from words. Obviously, you can if somebody writes in all caps because you can assume that they're yelling, or exclamation points can do excitement. So there's basic emotions you can sometimes get, but in the gist of words...
Without a meme, you can't tell sarcasm.
You can't tell sarcasm from serious. You can't tell honesty from assholery. And you can't tell trolls from legitimate people. So, the one thing I have come across, mainly because I'm surrounded by trolls, i.e. Advent and Kaiju mostly.
Oh, I don't troll on Twitter ever. What are you talking about?
Oh, right. But, so, intent always has to be based on good, you have to assume good intentions when you're reading somebody's post. Now, obviously, if they're literally saying something terrible, no matter what good intent you can put with it, you can't polish horrible things. But with that said, for mental health, anyone who's on social media, do one thing before you post, before you read, before you go on or do anything. Breathe. Even if somebody is a complete a-hole on social media, which unfortunately there's plenty, breathe and walk away. Don't let it affect your mental health. That's how I perceive it.
Don't be like me, who will just post a trolling comment and then just leave it be and then just watch the chaos ensue. But that's my coping mechanism, is watching chaos burn.
And some people, yes, their coping mechanism, i.e. you, i.e. Kaiju, is to post something and see the reactions that they'll get. What I will say for everyone else is, one, that is not the healthiest coping mechanism to have in this world. Coming from someone who works in professional services where you have to deal with people 100% of the time as a glorified babysitter for adults, coping mechanisms should be somewhat healthy, i.e. video games, music, anime, books, an entire room full of toys as I look around. Those are coping mechanisms that are healthy. Shit posting on Twitter or Facebook is not necessarily healthy.
I know it's not, but come on. I get a kick out of it.
But you also have to, if you know the individual and you know that they like to troll people,
i.e. people have caught on with us.
Many people have. Many people have caught on to the trolling between the two of you, most specifically. And most people will sit back and laugh, or like, you know, you have to take their words as just literal words. But that's all it is. And I can honestly say, with cyberbullying, which I imagine is much more challenging now than ever before.
Especially with direct messages nowadays.
Well, the one thing they have to say is everything can come with receipts, because you can save everything.
Yeah, and there's all... It's like, it seems like people don't understand. Either it's the really young people of Generation Z just getting on the internet, or your boomers. Don't understand. There's a receipt trail for everything that's posted on the internet.
Yeah, that's another thing I think is important to remember. When you're dealing with your mental health, right now, especially with the pandemic, be cautious and conscientious of how you take things, how you feel about things, what you post on there, because everybody saves everything. And even if you delete it,
it still exists somewhere on a server somewhere that can't be removed.
Or there's somebody on there who has taken a screenshot and decided to save it because there's that one particular time that it could benefit them. So, as I said, my recommendation, before you get on social media for your mental health coping, breathe.
Yeah.
And if you're able to, log off. Log off of social media, because if you're going to school at home, if you're working from home, which many people are doing now, even with school people going back to school, a lot of individuals, parents, college students are electing to stay at home because of safety, which I absolutely can respect. It does include isolation, loneliness, anxiety, fear, because there's so many unknowns that happen. Log off of social media. Log off the internet if you need to, unless that's your only way of streaming television shows.
Or in the case of somebody like me, I have to be online if I want to play half of my games.
Well, exactly. But what I mean by log off is find a way to disconnect from the things that will distract you. Enjoy your games. Enjoy your anime. Enjoy movies. There's so much right now. Like Disney Plus, they have this one great series. If you have a Disney Plus account, or if you know somebody that you can share a Disney Plus account with, they have this series called The World According to Jeff Goldblum. It is odd because you get to see something like, I watched a whole episode on sneakers, which is Jeff Goldblum. And so watch things like that. Watch things that can make you feel like you're a part of something.
And what I've been doing a lot right now is I've been hanging out with two of my other friends, and we've just been sitting and playing some games with each other. And then we've been marathoning whole seasons of anime just all day.
You have to say it exactly how you said it to me earlier. You've been
watching shows for men of culture. And yes, there are plenty of you that know what I'm talking about.
I love the term watching anime series for men of culture. I can only see the three of you, which is Chrysalis Bloodborne, another of our friends, and Advent, sitting there with their pinkies up with teacups, watching fan service anime. Because I know you're animes of culture. And don't get me wrong, I have my animes of culture because I'm a fujoshi. So I get it. We have our weaknesses and our guilty pleasures. But every time you say that, watching a whole series of anime for men of culture, I'm like, I know you three, and I cannot picture how this is going down, but I have pictures in my mind of how I want it to go down, and I so want this, because I have tea sets. I have an entire shelf of tea sets. I now want them to take pictures of sipping their tea, watching fan service.
Or as our one other friend that's not Chrysalis Bloodborne, he likes to comment of, yes, we like our waifu trash, and we're not ashamed to admit it.
I have plenty of husbandos and plenty of baby boys because they're way too young to be anything but my children. So I laugh. Men of culture. Yeah. No. I hate to break it to you. I don't think I know any men of culture. So, solutions for mental health. Disconnect from social media because God help us all. Even the people with the best intents can turn out to be assholes on social media. Watch anime. Like, for me, I do, if you can afford it. Obviously, not everybody can, so I'm not going to encourage anyone to spend money unnecessarily. But I take advantage of Rightstuf.com because they partner with Zezzle, so you can do a payment plan over 2 months.
Or me, who just spent $180 on their most recent summer sale.
Well, I spent $230, so I'm right there.
You got a Gundam box set out of that, so...
Yes, so I take advantage of Zezzle, though, because I actually do like that idea of almost... You get all the stuff, so it's not like your traditional type of layaway where you have to wait until it's all paid before you can accept. But you make your order, and you can pay over 4 easy payments. And they usually just split it, so it's basically 25% each time.
And it's over a 4-month period over the 4 payments. So
no, 2 months. So every 2 weeks you pay it, which is really not that bad because you have to order at least $100 because they want to make it worth your while just as much as make it worth their while. But if you think about it, for 2 months, over 2 months, paying $25 up to $50, that's really not
especially
bad.
When somebody's only, unlike myself, who gets paid on a weekly basis. Mm-hmm. Somebody who gets paid only twice a month or only a salary payment of once a month, that's a perfect deal for them.
Absolutely. So I recommend that because it gives you an opportunity to still enjoy a lot of different anime or Japanese culture or video games or even different merch if you enjoy it.
If you're a figure collector with the price of some of the figures.
Absolutely. Yo, yeah, no, figures are a little scary and sketchy to me, but I take advantage of it maybe once a quarter, spending like about $200.
And it's really, we take advantage when they have a sale.
Absolutely. But that's a great way to stock up some anime, especially if you're not a fan of doing the streaming services. I know, at least for our local area where we're in Colorado, or anyone who gets Comcast service, you can now get up to, I think, about 1.5 terabytes of data each month, which, truthfully, if you think about it, unless you're downloading all the time, that's still a pretty good amount, because I think it goes...
Online gaming burns through that.
Oh, it does? Because I know it's supposed to be about...
I had to go up to the next tier that's just below the one you're talking about, because my gaming, they're starting to throttle because of all my fighting gaming.
Well, I just learned something new, but I know for at least if you do go to the 1.5 terabyte, that's pretty much about, you'd have to watch streaming about 10 hours a day every single day of the month to really be able to go through 1.5 terabytes.
You know, for me, it's my online gaming for my fighting games, and then when I'm at home, because I don't want to burn through my data on my devices, my gacha games are on Wi-Fi, so you take the two together.
Oh, yeah, no, but there's a lot of things, and actually you made a really good point, unless you want to really burn out of your phone's battery, but there's a lot of online games now. You have Fates.
There's over 100 gacha games right now, but I will caution people, this is also for your health. If you have a gambling problem, don't play gacha games.
No, that's actually a really good point, because I have a very addictive personality, and so I have to be very cautious. Like, I have one game where it's slots that I play, but they give me money, so I don't have to pay anything. But that's a very good point. Yeah. But that's also for if you're doing online game or games in general that have loot boxes. If you're an addictive personality, don't play games with loot boxes.
Yeah, there's a reason why there's only one game I throw money in, and everything else I'm free to play.
Yes.
That's one thing you gotta, if you have an addictive personality, you gotta set rules or just not play anything that's got loot boxes or a gacha system, because you're gonna find yourself in trouble.
But there are a lot of good online games right now, because you have Final Fantasy 15 online.
14. 15 online is dead.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that blows my superiority, because I had seen it like a month ago. But okay, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's people playing on PC for 15.
Well, no, the phone.
Yeah, well, the phone one.
The phone app.
Yeah, the phone app's still going kind of.
Okay, that's what I thought, because it's a pretty good game.
Yeah, but if you're actually going to play the online expansion, it's pretty much relegated to a PS4 download separately from the game or a PC version. But Final Fantasy 14 is where all the online players have gone.
Oh, well, that's good to know, because I know 14 was dying for a while.
14 is now the most played MMORPG. It has eclipsed Warcraft.
Wow. Yeah, I actually talked to a few people about Warcraft, and they have not played it recently, just because...
It's Blizzard and Activision kind of killed the company.
So, with that said, find something that can take your mind off of being home. Another thing I'll recommend, it's not really pop culture related, but I think it's important, is take walks.
Get out of the house. I mean, not many people work a job like mine where I actually look at my step counter. There's some days when I take 40,000 steps because I work in a building that is 104,000 square feet.
Yeah, and you work there about 8 to 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
So. But I myself walk probably about, each day, about 2 to 3 miles, if not more. And I do that. It takes me about an hour to walk it, because it's really not that hard to walk that length of time.
And for me, I have a dog, so I get exercise when I'm not at work, having to walk a 10-year-old dog.
But take walks. Decompress completely. And my recommendation, especially right now, if you can, obviously if you're on the East Coast, you have to be a little cautious because of hurricane season and everything like that. But take walks during the evening. Don't take it by yourself in the evening.
Unless you live in a rural area, that'd be the only time I'd say it.
If you can, always have a companion with you, or have an animal, like a dog, especially if it's a little bit of a bigger dog, because they're intimidating. But take walks. Get out. Do something, even if for a little bit. Doesn't have to be around anyone else, because most of us have city blocks that we can walk down.
Yeah. Dogs intimidating. Big dogs that people say intimidating actually like me.
I'm not surprised. Most dogs actually are. Little dogs hate me. Bigger dogs like me.
My little dog likes you.
Surprisingly, it's because he gets ignored by kaiju. So, physical health. The challenge right now with the pandemic is for anyone who has any kind of physical health problems, which includes heart disease, asthma, and maybe even some of the more extreme illnesses. Don't want to get into that because it's always sad to talk about. That's hard to deal with as well during the pandemic because it also affects your mental coping mechanisms because you're either in pain or you're scared to go out because you are of that at-risk population.
And for some people that actually want to do physical activities because it's required with their physical health, it's damn near impossible unless you have an appointment made right now.
And even then, there's still that risk because you can't guarantee that they're going to maintain the standards of cleanliness at like gyms or public places. And so with that, for pop culture wise, I would recommend looking online. There's a lot of great YouTubers, if you trust YouTubers, or there's a lot of great channels where you can find like easy fitness clips of things that you can do at home that don't require any equipment and can be done easily.
Or hell, if you want to actually go back and watch some of the old 80s workout videos for stuff you can do in your own house.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, yeah, you're going to be in a time capsule and wonder what the hell they're wearing, but some of that stuff still is relevant.
And it's still really, really great. Like, Billy Blanks is one that I still will lean towards because that man can motivate a penguin.
And Richard Simmons' workouts are actually still relevant.
Oh, absolutely. So there is a lot of opportunities on there to stay active, stay motivated. And if you need to really think about something to keep yourself motivated, sometimes I use horror movies to keep me motivated. Like, oh my God, Jason's going to kill me. I need to run a little bit more, exercise a little bit more so I have that endurance. Because right now my only endurance option is to take a bat to Kaiju's leg and then run. But unfortunately, that's not effective because he can hop. So I have to think of other options like my own health. So think of things like that. Like if you're caught in a horror movie, how are you going to ensure you survive?
Yep. And then with your physical health too, find music that can help upbeat you to whatever you're working on as well. Or is somebody like me that likes to go, yes, I'm listening to sophisticated death metal while I'm working out. Thank you very much.
So now we have anime for well-cultured men, and we have sophisticated death metal. What's next? Well, I'd say Christian rap, but that exists. So,
hey, you listen to the same death metal I do, so you have
I do, but I've never claimed it was sophisticated. But,
Oh, come on. One of my favorite bands is a death metal band that sings about high-level mathematics and physics, so...
I also have pirate metal on my phone.
Oh, Ailstorm's awesome.
Oh, God. So, I do agree with music. One other thing that I do is I will get on the treadmill, and I'll be on that for about 20, 30 or so minutes, and I'll have a podcast playing.
Yes.
Because if I get into music, I'll start singing along, and then sadly, I'm usually in public places, and the last thing I want to do is listen to my tone-deaf voice singing music they cannot even hear, especially if it's in a different language. Sounds like I'm doing devil chanting, because it's usually German metal. But, so I always like trying to listen to different podcasts, and for me, to be quite honest, I listen to true crime a lot, which is probably, once again, not the most healthiest coping mechanism.
Right now, I noticed on iHeart, that's their most popular section of podcasts
It
now.
is on Spotify, too, and Pandora. true crime apparently is what everyone wants to listen to. And I just found out a really good statistic about it. 75% of the fans who like true crime are women.
Because they're trying to figure out some way to take care of their husband when their husband betrays them.
That's all I thought. Is I'm like, 75% of women like true crime more so than men. I'm like, there is some honesty to that, because I've talked about true crime to guys and they're like, so? But women, we love it. I've gotten to so many like in-depth conversations with people about true crime. And yet
for male demographic right now, it's the conspiracy theory podcasts, which are the most popular ones.
Those are so good too. I love conspiracy. Well, I love conspiracy theories because some of them are so ridiculous. It just sounds so funny.
Yeah, and it's like, it's what the podcast. You gotta find something that's gonna be where you know on your mental health level. Because don't go down the rabbit hole that some of those podcasts could throw you down.
That is a very valid point. If you know yourself and you know, and because admittedly, I am gullible at times.
You're not gullible at all.
And he's gonna die soon. But, not really, people. I'm not gonna kill anybody on the air, because that would be terrible. But no, if you know that you're easily naive or gullible or anything like that, be cautious and know yourself. But I think that is common for anything. Know what you like, know what you don't like when it comes to pop culture, and know what can be stimulating for you. Because even with physical health, there's a lot of animes that you can watch that will help with physical health. My God, there's that one anime. Oh,
How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Can
Yes, thank you. That's the name. I love the series. I just have a hard time with the name. But they also give a lot of motivating things.
And the actual workout advice they give in that show
is real.
The legitimate, from world-renowned trainers.
Yes, and it is all legitimate workout advice. Having a few trainers as friends, you learn very quickly what's true and what's false when it comes to training.
And the trainers have really praised the show because it's giving accurate advice on how to properly work out.
Absolutely. And binge if you need to. If you feel you're compelled where you need to binge just because that's the way to cope, do so. Take advantage of what works for you, and then after binging, get up. Eat something healthy or fun, more so on the healthy and fun if you can.
Yeah, try to stay away from anything that's going to be able to increase your waistline, especially with the way that a lot of us aren't able to get out like we used to.
Absolutely, which I've heard from more people than less about that. And last but not least, we all have phones. We all have communication devices. And even if you're living alone, which Advent does live alone with his dog, pick up the phone. Call people. You are not in this alone. And you can always message us as well if you want to hold a conversation.
You can find, and it's not going to be uncommon, even she can admit this. I'm on the PlayStation a lot.
Yeah, what's your PlayStation handle?
It's Advent_Nebula. You can find me there. Very easy.
And if you want to find Kaiji no Kami, because I'm going to throw him out there because I'm not as on PlayStation as much as he is, he's under Dr. Kain. If you do look for me, I'm under Cruellica because that's usually how it is for everywhere. But you can also find us on social media, on Twitter and Facebook. I go by Kelly Kain. Last name is Kain. Or you can look up Cruellic, Kruellic for Twitter, and
you will just find my Facebook is personally private, so you cannot contact me on Facebook. But my Twitter is open. It's Advent_Nebula, and pretty much any gaming forum that you find that name under, it is me. Because when I picked that name, it was so unique back then. It's like, yeah, you are not going to find anybody else but me under that.
And if you ever want to find Kaiji no Kami on Twitter, he's Kaiji no Kami or Marcos Kain. And the same on Facebook, he's Marcos Kain. Or you can go to our Kaiji no Kami Facebook page, which all three of us have access to, so we can always comment or chat on there.
Yeah, so just be in mind, if you have actually messaged the Kaiju no Kami page, sometimes it's not him. Sometimes it's me responding because I know he's asleep and I'm awake.
I know somebody messaged, "Are you awake?" No. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, "No, I'm asleep. I'll be up in 2 hours." But, so take care of your health, both physical and mental. Know that you're not alone.
And I got one big point. I don't care what your political affiliation is, but for your mental health, stay away from politics during this.
That is a good point. Obviously, if you're 18 or older, it is your American duty, not just right, but it is your duty to vote. We're not going to get into this whole political campaign because I'm not going to do that.
Neither am I. I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole this year.
But it is your responsibility to vote. No matter what your political preference is, if you're 18 or older, vote. But vote with your conscience, not with the online conversations, because obviously that is a dumpster fire of toxicity.
Yeah.
And my other recommendation, if you do message any of us on social media, don't ask questions about political stuff because they will troll you.
All you have to do is just take one look at my Twitter page. You know you're going to get troll responses.
But other than that, stay healthy, stay happy, and we will be back soon with pop culture and the music of 2020. Is it good? Is it bad? Or is it just here?